In this lecture, let us understand about useReducer hook. But before understanding about this advanced useReducer hook, first we should understand why should we use this useReducer hook. So remember, it is one of the most important React hooks, and once you learn it, you will be able to manage React states in better way, and also you will be able to understand tools like Context API and Redux in very easy and in very simpler way. So that is the reason you should first learn this useReducer before even learning Context API or Redux. So that is the reason I have mentioned first you should learn this hook, then it will be easy for you to understand Redux Toolkit, as well as you can easily understand Context API. Now let us see what is useReducer. So useReducer is a React hook which allows us to manage the states of components. Now what? Managing state? For this, don't we use useState hook? So this is a very valid question, and we already know whenever we want to update something inside the UI, we are going to use piece of state. So whenever we are changing something inside our UI, we are going to use our piece of state. And for that, we have used useState hook. But now, by the definition of useReducer, you can understand this hook also allows us to manage the states of components. So for managing the state, we are already having useState hook. Then why should we even bother about this useReducer? Because understand, useReducer is an alternative to useState, and useState is built on useReducer. How we have JavaScript and React? JavaScript is a programming language and React is built on JavaScript. React is having its own functionalities and JavaScript is the complete language. Similarly, useState is built on useReducer, which means useReducer will be having more functionality and it is the base concept for managing the state. So remember this, useReducer is also used to manage the states of our components. But now another valid question is, what is the difference between useState and useReducer? So both these hooks are used to create new state and then update it. But the difference is in the way of updating state. Both are used to update state, but both will be using different process. Both will be having different behavior of updating state. So in useState, we are going to use our setter function to update the state of the variable. But in useReducer, it is little bit complicated. But if we are using useReducer, then we can make our code cleaner and also we can give proper structure which can be easily understood by anyone. So remember, whenever we are working with React, state is one of the most important concept in React. So we are going to use this special hook which is going to give powerful ways of managing state. So using useState, you can manage simple state, but using useReducer, you can manage complex state and also you can handle complex states using this useState hook. But now, maybe as a beginner, you have only used useState for managing the state. You have used useState to update the state, and also you have created entire application only using state. So now you will be having this question, if this useReducer is also doing the same task and along with doing the same task, it is also complex, then why should we learn this useReducer? Can't we only use useState to update our state? The answer is yes, you can proceed with that. But at one point, our component and state updates become more complex. And that time, using useState to manage all the state is not enough, and our code may be messed up with lot of state variables. So for each and every update, whatever is updating on our screen, for each and every update, we have to create state variable, and we have to keep on updating the state variable so that our data is synced with our application. That time it will be lot of work, and soon you will realize you should be having some alternative for use state, and that alternative is nothing but our use reducer. But apart from this, some components will be having many state variables, and updates are scattered across different event handlers within the component, or even across multiple component. Suppose you are creating to-do list. Inside that, you are adding item, you are editing item, you are updating item, you are deleting item. For all this, what you will do when you are using your state, you will be creating different event handlers. For adding, handle add event. For removing the item, handle remove item. For editing, handle edit item. For updating, handle update item. So you have to create lot of event handlers, and accordingly you have to pass all the event handlers to prop, and later on you have to execute the function. So for simple application, that is fine. But if you're working on larger project, and if you want to build complex application, during that time, useState will not be helping you, because you have to manage lot of state variables, and updates will be scattered across different event handlers within the same components, or even across multiple components. And if multiple components want to receive that event handler, each and every function we have to pass as a prop, we have to accept as a prop, and accordingly we have to execute our application. So that becomes very complex, and also very difficult to maintain the application. And sometimes multiple state updates need to happen all at the same time when an event is happening. For example, when you are submitting the form, after submitting, you want to clear input field, you want to display success message, and also you want to disable the button all at the same time. When you're submitting the form, all the state updates has to be happening. Apart from this, if you consider game, if you want to start a game from scratch, you should set the score to 0. You should change the status to playing, and also you have to start the timer completely from scratch. So using only one event handler, you have to update multiple states. So during that time also, useState will not be helping us, because we have to create lot of variables, and we have to perform lot of update logic. And one more disadvantage of using useState is, whenever we are updating one piece of state, that state will be relied on other piece of state, which can become very tricky when we are managing large amount of state. For example, you have visited e-commerce website, and you want to filter some products. You have given some price range, and also you have selected the category. Now what I have done, I have given two criterias. I have given the category, as well as I have given the price range. So whatever products are displayed, those products are dependent on the categories I have selected. So in that case also, using useState will not be helping us. So in all these three situations, our use reducer can be a great solution. And all these problems can be solved by using this use reducer hook. So as a beginner, if you have only used useState, and up until this point you have not updated yourself, then this is the right time to switch to use reducer and explore more advanced React hooks.